retained by the Fraternal Order of Police to advise them on response that was passed is not current law. It is in suspended animation thanks to the Court of Appeals overruling an effort with county taxpayer funds of over $250,000 of legal fees to prevent Montgomery County voters from having a say. This council and this executive authorized the expenditure, let me repeat, of $250,000 of taxpayer funds to prevent Montgomery County voters having the right to vote. Whether the law that we're going to discuss today, that's been on the books for 30 years, protecting a narrow version of employee rights for police officers with strict time limits on exercising those rights, to talk about the effects of management decisions. The right to talk is the only issue, and we're here to ask Montgomery County voters to vote against the repeal. Against is a vote for the police. The council worded the question so it would force people to vote against in order to vote for. That's no accident. It could have been done the other way, just as it's no accident what they're saying about why they did it is factually inaccurate. Even to the point where when I challenged Roger Berliner to tell me anything that I'm saying is inaccurate about what they're saying, he's refused to debate. And the chief of police agreed with my plain English reading of the law, despite the misinformation paid for by taxpayers on the county's website. That's all I have to say. I would now introduce to you and let them introduce themselves, the important people in the room. Starting with our county FOP leadership, and then let's go around the room so every labor leader from Montgomery County and the state of Maryland will introduce themselves to you, and then we'll begin a brief presentation and be available to answer your questions. And if any of you would like to stay on and interview anybody here, we'll stay on if we can possibly be here. We'll stay on to answer your questions individually, and for those of you in the broadcast media, if you want some personal interviews, we'll stay on for those as well. So first let me ask Tory Cook to begin by introducing himself, and Mark Zipkak. Tory is the president, and Mark is the former president of the FOP. But Tory, why don't you begin, and then we'll go around the room. Let's have everybody introduce yourselves, name, and what labor organization you're from.
Tory Cook, Fraternal Order of Police, Montgomery County, Lodge 35.
Gino Wren, President, UFCW Local 1994, International President, UFCW International President. I've promoted myself. I hope my president isn't watching. You know, International Vice President, UFCW.
I'm Roger Mano, State Senator from Montgomery County.
Okay.
Charles Barkley, Delegate, District 39.
Mark Zipkak, Immediate Past President, FOP Lodge 35.
Jan Kajiger, ATU, I represent the Metro workers.
Johnny Walker, National Representative for the 14th District, the American Federation of Government Employees, representing 600,000 federal and DC government employees.
May I interrupt and please thank all of us for Johnny for being here. And Montgomery County is known as the seat of federal employees, where they live, where they come home. And the fact that their union chief is here speaking to them about what the Montgomery County Council has done, that he will explain, is also a right that federal employees have, is a very meaningful presence to be here. We thank you.
Abiola Afolayan, Political Director for Unite Here Local 25, 7,000 members strong. We represent hospitality workers in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia.
Stan Moore, President, Deputy Sheriff Association, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 112, Prince George's
Greg Durham, President of Howard County Police Officers Association, FOP Lodge 21.
Michael Young, President of Lodge, FOP Lodge 30, representing the men and women of the Maryland National Capital Park Police in Montgomery and Prince George's counties.
Vince Canales, President of Fraternal Order Police, Lodge 89 in Prince George's County.
Carl Carson, Political Director of Operating Plastics and Cement Masons, local union.
Carlton Gullip, AFSCME Council 67, Labor Relations Specialist, represent all of Prince George's County, state and county employees.
Who is that issues?
John Sparks, President of Montgomery County Career Firefighters Association.
Fred Mason, President of Maryland and District of Columbia, AFL-CIO, representing 350,000.
Justin Williams, President of the Metropolitan Washington Council, AFL-CIO, covering DC, Montgomery, Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's, and Prince George's.
I'm Doris Reed. I chair the Montgomery and Prince George's County Committee on Political Education. I'm also the Executive Director for the Administrators and Supervisors in Prince George's County Schools and the National Service Representative for the American Federation of School Administrators.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Good. Please.
Don Havard, Operating Engineers, Local 99, Business Representative.
Mike Murphy, Operating Engineers, Local 99, Business Manager, and also President of the Food and Allied Trades Council in this area.
Al Height, Business Manager, Baker's Union, Local 118, and Secretary Treasurer of Food and Allied Service Trades.
One other person, not a trade union leader, but amazed that he's been with us from day one, is the head of the, or representing the Young Democrats. Where are you, Jay? Would you introduce yourself?
Jay Wilson from the Montgomery County Young Democrats.
I'm going to introduce the current president of the Fraternal Order of Police, Tory Cook, but I just have to say, in all my years in Montgomery County politics, this is 40 years ago, that Joss Williams and I got started together, and he had no gray hair in his beard. I have never seen an event like this in 40 years in Montgomery County, with this type of labor solidarity, protesting what a Democratic council and executive have done to a law that's worked for 30 years and trying to deprive people of the right to challenge it. This turnout by organized labor in Montgomery County is unlike anything I've seen in 4 decades. And I think I'm right about that. So thank you all for being here.
I want to also thank everyone for coming out and showing us support. It's very special to us because we are in a battle and have been in a battle with the county council for several years now, and we know that we don't stand alone. We're here today because we know we must defeat Question B. The Fraternal Order of Police is an organization led by active and retired police officers who are committed to the protection of the public. Effects bargaining has been established for 30 years. The law provides an orderly and peaceful process in which police officers, through their representative, are able to have a voice in the workplace and to discuss and soften the impact of matters that affect them and their families. Management has not been prevented from exercising any of its rights enumerated under the current law. Effects bargaining does not involve bargaining over the exercise of a management right. It involves only bargaining over the effect or impact of the management right exercised. As clearly determined by current law, in cases where there is a significant effect on the safety of the public, the employer may immediately exercise their right. In all other cases, implementation can occur after 50 days if no agreement has been reached. I just want to also enforce a statement that has been made, or let you know about a statement that has been made that we find is not true. The statement that has been made is that police officers in Montgomery County are the only ones with effects bargaining. That's not true. The fact is, federal employees benefit from a law that provides peaceful and orderly discussions over the effects of the exercise of a management right, and I believe you're going to hear that today. It affects bargaining. It's also common in public sector in Montgomery County, but it often is costly and takes a lot of time through litigation before it even reaches the bargaining process. So that's why we're here to let the voters know that what they've been told about effects bargaining is not true. It calls to question why politicians are providing distorted facts in order to repeal a 30-year-old law rather than holding managers accountable for understanding and following the law. That is why we ask all the Montgomery County voters to vote against question B. Thank you.
I'd now like to call on Mark Zivkak, former president of the FOP.
Thank you very much again. I reiterate what Tori has said. Thank you on behalf of the police officers in Montgomery County for showing your support here today. There's no question whatsoever in any of our minds who's standing with us. From our elected officials, those that have given us their name, and those of you who've taken the time out of your busy schedules to come here and support public safety in Montgomery County. It's humbling. It truly is. Thank you. I agree with what President Cook has said, and he's characterized what has been a debate that we have tried to get out for 3 weeks. What makes this issue so important to us as police officers who leave our homes and leave our families to go out and protect the community is this is about our families. This is about the effect, the impact of management decisions on our lives. Doesn't impair management's right to do what they need to do, but it balances that right with the ability to discuss and come to agreement on what we can do to soften the impact on our families. That is why this is such an important issue and why we are so motivated in this fight and why we so much appreciate all your support. The history of this issue goes back to a year ago when Montgomery County Council passed a bill that repealed a 30-year right to bargain, to discuss, to come to agreement on the effect, solely the effect of the exercise of a management right. Don't go to sleep on me when I go into the labor law. We disagreed with what they did, and what we had was what every voter has when we disagree with elected officials. We went to the boss. We collected 38,000 signatures in Montgomery County to put this issue before the voter, the boss, the people we work for. We succeeded. The county council then approved an effort and spent over $250,000, $250,000 of taxpayer money to keep that from going to the ballot. This is Montgomery County, who always cries poor at budget time, but they had $250,000 to keep this issue off the ballot. We challenged their assertions. The Court of Appeals agreed with us. We prevailed. This is going to go on the ballot. It's going to go to the voter. It's going to go to the boss. Now they're spending taxpayer dollars on websites, on printing, and on county employees' hours to get information out. Information that is inaccurate, information that is wrong, information that puts out one side of this issue. We're here, and with your help, to put out the other side of this issue, the truth, the history, the impact on us. And that this is nothing unique. As a matter of fact, what makes us unique is our right to deal with these issues is limited under law. We have absolute resolution in 51 days, or no days if it's public safety related. That is the clear, unambiguous language of the law that the county is not telling the voter. So again, I thank you all very much for being here. and I turn it over to the people who've been here a little longer than I have. This issue is not unique to Montgomery County. We're riding on the tail end of other places in this country where it has become the habit to blame those who do the work for the problems instead of those who are supposed to be in leadership positions dealing with the problems. Thank you.
Let me reiterate for the people in the press corps, the number $250,000 has never seen print in any newspaper. And those of you who haven't reported that fact, we hope you will. We also hope you will report the fact that the misinformation contained on the website, contained in the letter by County Executive Leggett and Council President Berliner, we challenged anybody to challenge us on the accuracy of saying that their information is false. If I were Clint Eastwood, I'd have an empty chair here. But I wouldn't. Roger Berliner refuses to debate Mark Zivkat. Been invited and refuses. But I can tell you, the winner of that debate would be truth, because that's all we're talking about. Misinformation on the website today saying that there are delays caused by effects bargaining. That is a false statement, unless you say 50 days is a delay if it's not about public safety, and no delay if it is about public safety. So that empty chair can be filled by Council President Berliner to debate with Mark whether that declaration as a rationale for overturning a 30-year law, delays, is true or false. And does truth matter? We think so. The person that will tell you the truth, who's represented the truth as a state senator, is next to talk, Senator Roger Mano from Silver Spring.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm Roger Mano. I have the honor of serving in the state senate, representing the 19th district in Montgomery County. First of all, to all those who represent working families, thank you for being here and for your solidarity. It really makes a huge difference in terms of articulating the point that we're trying to make. We don't hear this enough, but, and I know that you're all in suits today, but for those of you who wear the uniform of Montgomery County, thank you for your service. It's greatly appreciated. So we're here today to stand with our frontline first responders, and on behalf of the nearly 40,000 Montgomery County residents who have signed a petition to bring this issue before the voters of Montgomery County. And what those nearly 40,000 Montgomery County residents have said is, no, we won't break our promise. No, we won't repeal rights of our first responders. And no, we won't take our county backwards in terms of our public safety and the extraordinary progress that we've made here in Montgomery County. 30 years ago, we made a promise. The promise recognized the extraordinary and unique challenges of public safety in Montgomery County, a growing and increasingly diverse county in the state of Maryland, the economic engine of the state of Maryland. And we recognize the sacrifices of our law enforcement officers and their families by the rights given under that legislation. These are not ordinary jobs. They're jobs that go to the heart of public safety, in terms of keeping our communities safe, in terms of keeping our children safe in our schools. Now, these last few years have been tough. We've been in a recession. Folks are tightening their belts. And we've asked our law enforcement to do more with less. We've asked them to work harder, longer, with fewer benefits. And they have answered the call. They have done everything that we've asked of them. In fact, the first quarter statistics of 2012, murders in Montgomery County are down 40%. Rapes are down 27%. Burglaries are down 16%. So the progress that we've made, the results speak for themselves. And we've asked these folks to also serve under an increasingly complicated patchwork of federal, state, and local laws and regulations with regard to immigration, with regard to public safety in general, homeland security. And again, they've done everything that we've asked of them. So that's why we stand with our first responders and the 40,000 Montgomery County residents who opposed question B and who have said resoundingly that in Montgomery County we keep our promises. So I'd just like to thank you all for being here, for your service, and for the honor that you've given me to serve you in the Maryland State Senate. It's greatly appreciated.
Next to speak briefly is the member of the Equal House in Annapolis, Delegate Charles Barkley of the House of Representatives.
We do consider it equal house, but we always do let our senators go first. I am Delegate Charles Barkley. I represent District 39, which is right up the street, Montgomery Village, Germantown, and Darnestown, North Potomac, Durwood. So appreciate, like Roger, I appreciate you all being out here today. It really shows some true solidarity of all the labor groups in the county, and I think it's great that you're here. I know there's other labor groups that support us, and they just couldn't be here today. I will say, I'd like to start out by simply saying, I'm going to ask all my constituents in District 39 and the rest of the county, first of all, to vote no on question B. It's a real simple question. And I think our hardest job is actually going to be to get them down to that point on the ballot, because we've got all these silly state questions that we have to deal with that some Republicans managed to get on the ballot, and then we've got the locals. So we're going to have to tell them, please, voters, we need you to go to the end of the ballot. That's real important this time. I'm actually here, I'm really like to say I'm really disappointed that I had to be here, because we should not be here having to do this fight. We got a Democratic council, Democratic county executive, and we should not be in this room this morning. It's real simple. My fear is that with the current council especially, I'm sorry, council members, but my fear is this is just the start. And I think this is the start to get rid of some collective bargaining rights that we have. And I would say to the council, to the county exec, if there's something you want to change, we're at the bargaining table. Come join us at the bargaining table. Don't sit in your office in Rockville. If you want to negotiate, we'll be glad to negotiate. Come to the table and talk to us. Don't hide behind your desk. The effects bargaining that you've had for 30 years has not hurt a thing. It's not stopped anything related to public safety for Montgomery County. It's not going to stop it in the future, so I don't know why they're trying to get rid of it. I don't know what they're afraid of, and I also don't know what they have against our families, because it's not just the police officers this bill is about. This is against your families, because when they're starting to make changes in things that you do, they need to be talking to you. So I'm just going to stop there. I would like to end by saying I apologize for some of my colleagues that couldn't be here, but you can see some of the names on the board that are with us. Delegate Tom Hunker, Delegate Craig Zucker, Delegate Bonnie Collison. They're all unfortunately working at a regular job, but they would be here. And Senator Gargiulo on the Senate side is also up there. And I know some of our colleagues we've not been able to get a hold of and talk to, but I think you're going to have a lot of support out there, and we're going to encourage voters to be with you. Thank you for being here today.
Next up, very great honor to have him here, Joss Williams, President of the Metropolitan Washington Council, AFL-CIO.
Good morning, Lenny. And good morning, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joss Williams, and I am President of the Metropolitan Washington Council, an umbrella group representing all of the AFL-CIO unions in the metropolitan Washington area. And for us, my presence here today is really an easy one. First of all, I want to thank the FOP for their courage, their bravery in challenging this action. I thank them because they may not realize how important this battle that they have undertaken is to the rest of the labor movement and to the working families in our jurisdiction. You know, Montgomery County prides itself in being a democratic, progressive area. The council and the government prides itself in being an area where progressives live, work, and play. Yet, we see in this county, which is supposed to be a worker-friendly county, a county that if we allow this to take place here, think of what a Scott Walker, a Daniels, or a Florida, or a Louisiana governor will be saying. If a democratic location can do that and get away with it, and the labor movement does not say something, it is an invitation for us Republicans, conservatives, right-wingers, to do the same thing to our workers, and the workers' representatives will not be able to say, you can't do that, because they allowed it to happen in Montgomery County, Maryland, one of the bluest of the blue locations. So to the FOP, I'm here to say thank you for your courage, for your bravery, and for allowing us to stand next to you in this fight, which is about FOP, but to look across, it is about organized labor. For us to stand by and do nothing is the equivalent of a homeowner standing on his porch and veranda while his neighbor's house is burning down and saying, that's not my house. Let my neighbor fight that fire. Lo and behold, all it takes is a change of wind and one spark to challenge your home. So the best thing for us to do this morning is to rally around our brothers and sisters and make sure that that line of demarcation, which says this is a working family friendly location, remains just that. I cannot emphasize how important this is, and the mere fact that so many of my colleagues have chosen to come here this morning and stand next to the FOP speaks volume of how important this is to the whole organized labor community. Finally, you were there with us in Wisconsin, in Ohio, and everywhere else where the labor movement has been challenged, and management has tried to say, everybody except FOP and the firefighters, we are going to exempt you. Don't worry about yourselves, don't worry about these guys. Your message to Wisconsin, and in Ohio was, an injury to one is an injury to all, and today we stand with our brothers and sisters in Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio. And today we stand with you in Maryland, and we are saying an injury to FOP is an injury to organized labor, and we will not tolerate it.
Any volunteers to follow that one? If you don't mind a little interjection, I write a column called Purple Nation because I also talk about issues that Republicans support. There are many Republicans out there, Joss, who agree with you that a one-party government in Montgomery County with an all-Democratic county council and a Democratic county executive, many of whom have been my friends for all these years, including Ike Leggett, who's an honorable and great man, didn't have Joss Williams or even people in this room to challenge the misinformation that led them to this wrong-headed decision. That may be, to Republicans watching and listening, a consequence of a one-party government. I'm in favor of a one-party government because I'm a Democrat. But I can see the disadvantages as to why Council President Berliner refuses to debate and why no council member refused to allow a debate before making this decision on whether they have been misinformed. And Republicans who are listening, this is about our police, about their families, about law and order, and protecting all of us in Montgomery County. It is not a partisan issue. It's about everyone. So now with that, and a little bit of a breathing space because no one can follow Joss Williams, I'd like to introduce Fred Mason, the president of the Maryland State AFL-CIO.
Good morning. I really didn't want to apologize, but that was very good remarks, Mr. President, and they were very on point. We must defeat question B. We must defeat it because the consequences would be very harmful to police officers and their families who over the years, like many of us in other unions, have given up a lot at the bargaining table. You know, we have made concessions on wages, we've made concessions on benefits, but what the FOP is saying is that we will not give up our dignity. We will not give up our dignity. In any situation, workers should have the right to discuss with the boss, with the employer, the consequences of their actions. Many workers face the challenge of having a husband or wife that works one shift and the other partner works the other shift. A decision by management to change a shift can have real life consequences on that family. We simply say that we want to be able to discuss those changes that management wants to put in place. I too am disappointed that we have to be having this discussion in Montgomery County. I've been to Wisconsin, I've been to Indiana, Ohio, Florida, fighting the same kinds of battles where workers' rights are under attack. And they oftentimes don't always come from a Scott Walker. They come from well-intended, good people, Lanny, but somewhat misguided people because they don't understand the conditions that working people face. They don't truly appreciate the sacrifices that police officers make every single day. When current elected officials want to change rights or policies that have worked for over 30 years and have benefited both management and worker, the citizens of Montgomery County have to ask themselves why. And when they do that, I believe that the citizens of Montgomery County will vote against question B. I believe that this is an effort to weaken the voice of workers, the voice of the FOP and the police officers that they represent. And as Brother Williams said, an injury to one is an injury to all, and that's why we're here today. The FOP is a vital component of organized labor in Montgomery County and in the state of Maryland. And we will not allow their voice to be weakened. We will resist all attacks on organized labor, no matter what quarter it comes from. And the citizens of Montgomery County will vote against question B, and I pledge all the resources of the Maryland and ECF-LCIO to make sure that we prevail. Thank you.
We'll have two more speakers, and then we'll have your questions. I do want to remind everybody in the room, when we say misstatements of fact, that is a euphemism, but I don't impugn people's intent. I don't use the L word. It is a red herring to suggest that we're using the L word. We assume good people are misinformed, and I certainly assume that this council and the county executive are good people. But you're going to hear now from Gino Wren to tell you the truth about the biggest misstatement of fact that is on the website and has been repeated in the Washington Post editorial and in everything that I've read in all the media. Misstatement of fact means something that is not true.
It's a lie.
I will not use that. So I'm going to ask Gino Wren, and I had one reporter say to me, well, I'm not going to get into he says, she says arguments. And I said back to this reporter, who I greatly respect, we're not talking about an argument or an interpretation. We're talking about a fact. A fact is either true or false. It's not an interpretation, it's a fact. Now the fact is, effects bargaining is not unique as a right to our police here in Montgomery County. The county has said we have special treatment. We're the only ones who have effects bargaining. That is not true. It is false. And I'm asking the reporters in this room to say not only that I say it's false, but to say it's false because it can be proven by reading plain English. Now, Gino Wren, the head of our Montgomery County employees, who the council has said do not have this right, that is not true, will explain to you why they do have the right to effects bargaining, except it's not time limited, which in the statute that they want to repeal is the case for Montgomery County Police. So Gino Wren, the head of our County Employees Union, and also an old friend. Where are you, Gino?
For those of you that know me, I'm a bit shy, but I'm going to try to overcome that obstacle and get my point across. My name is Gino Wren. I'm president of UFCW Local 1994. I'm also international vice president of UFCW International. Joe, if you're watching this, I again apologize for suggesting I'm the president of the International.
I recorded it, Gino.
You did? Well, I'm going to get demoted in quick order, I'm sure. I received a couple inquiries by various council members. Why are you taking this fight? It's not your problem. It's not your battle. Well, let me be clear to the council members and to the executive. This is my fight. This is Local 1994's fight, and we will fight to the bitter end. Why? Let me be clear. Because the FOP, the firefighters, and every other union that represents individuals in the state of Maryland are part of the greater Maryland labor family. And if you attack one, you're going to fight us all. It's that simple. have a personal investment in this fight. When the county council and the executive came to me and suggested several years ago that, you know what, we got this big budget gap, we don't care about your efficiency proposals or your cost reduction of proposals, we're going to take it out of the hides of your members. And we're going to oppose 5 or 6 or 7 days of furloughs. Well, do the math. You take 5, 6, 7 days out of the pay of folks that are already working from paycheck to paycheck. You inflict irreparable harm on thousands of families that serve this Montgomery County community. And that is unconscionable in my mind. Now, they went as far as saying, guess what? We're going to soften the blow a little. We're going to exclude your public safety workers and the FOP and the firefighters as well. Now, I sat back and say, what do I do with this? Well, I didn't have to wait very long for an answer because Mark Zipcat, the president of the FOP at the time, and John Sparks, president of IAFF Firefighters, came to me and said, what they're doing to you is wrong. We're standing with you. If they're going to furlough workers in Montgomery County, they're going to furlough our members together, and we all took the hit. That wasn't their fight, but they stood with our members and took the hit, and I want to publicly thank both of you for doing so. Now, let's talk about reality and facts. This particular county council has a long history, as well as the county executive, have a long history of fabricating the facts to suit their agenda. They suggest to you that Montgomery County workers do not have effects bargaining. Well, let me say this to you. I've been at the bargaining table with Montgomery County since the inception. I should stop using big words, maybe I can figure it out. Since the inception of bargaining for general government workers dating back to 1985. And I'm here to tell you that in each and every bargaining cycle, we engaged in intense negotiations over effects bargaining. Not the management decision, but the effects that it would have on our members. Now, over the years, there's been times where the county has tried to wall those negotiations off and suggest that this is an unfettered management prerogative, an exclusive right that management holds. We can't dare sit with you and discuss the effects on your members of these decisions. Well, let me share with you a recent case, and if anyone from the media would like the decision, I have just happened to have it with me. During the FY negotiations between Local 1994 and Montgomery County government, we put proposals on the table in on 8 different subjects to curb and mitigate the negative effects of management's decisions, and I'll name the areas: work schedules, work day and work week, health benefits and health benefit reserve, appeal of transfers, safety and health, which is a lot of what the FOP is concerned about in this issue, management and the accountability of management, the harassment, disparate treatment, and inappropriate behavior of management. Now, I'm not sure that's an unfeathered management prerogative to threaten your workers, harass them, and just, totally humiliate them publicly and otherwise. But we figured we might want to do something about the effect of that behavior. And then lastly, layoff and recall. In refusing to bargain, the county maintained the position that the 8 subjects listed above fall within the county's exclusive management prerogative and therefore are not bargainable. The union, of course, disagreed with the county and filed a prohibited practice charge, which is consistent with our law. That's the process where you resolve these type of disputes. To bargain with and to refuse to bargain with the Labor Relations Administrator, Jerome T. Barrett, EDD. Following a 2-day hearing, which was costly in terms of legal fees for both parties, which was costly in terms of having a long list of witnesses on both sides taking out of the workforce where they energy would better be used serving the public and serving our members on our side. The LRA ruled that all 8 union proposals were found to be mandatory subjects of bargaining, and the county did commit a prohibited practice by refusing to bargain all 8 proposals. The LRA therefore ordered the county to bargain with the union on each of the 8 proposals and will be returning to the table next month to do so. Now, let me draw a distinction, which is a distinction the council nor the executive want to talk about. We have effects bargaining. It's a different process. It's a different process. The FOP's process is superior to ours because it has rules and boundaries and timetables in which the effect bargaining is conducted. Ours does not. That doesn't mean we don't have effects bargaining. We just have a much more cumbersome process, a much more costly process that deprives taxpayers of funding of more critical services than fighting with your workforce, and a process that is never ending. So it squanders tax dollars, our process, and it negatively impacts the relationship between the parties. I would much rather spend that money engaging on joint efforts to find efficiencies and cost enhancements in the delivery of services. Thank you.
So again, one editorial comment before I introduce our list. Members of the media, I just read in a local newspaper that Montgomery County Police are the only ones who have effects bargaining. I wrote an email to the reporter to say, please correct. But I do not blame the reporter. It's on the website. It was uttered by the council president. It's been part of county council members' statements. Why should we treat Montgomery County Police differently? It was in an editorial of Washington's leading newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen, a falsehood is a falsehood. It isn't a he says, she says argument. My question to Council President Berliner, were he to sit in this theoretical empty chair, does the truth matter or not? We can argue about interpretations. We can have different opinions. We can't make up facts. Does the truth matter? I say that's not a partisan question. There isn't a Republican or an independent or a Democratic voter who could hear these words, who won't say, yes, the truth matters. Stop spending our tax dollars telling us misinformation. My last speaker, and certainly last but not least, is John Sparks, the president of the Montgomery County Career Firefighters Association.
Well, it's no longer morning, so good afternoon. I'm John Sparks, president of Montgomery County Career Firefighters Association. We represent over 1,100 professional firefighters and paramedics that work in Montgomery County. And as the speaker before me, President Wren, mentioned, I'm here to speak too, that I keep hearing from the county council members and representatives from the county executive office that, well, we eliminated effects bargaining from the FOP, and now they're just like the other 2 government bargaining units, McGeo and the IEFF, because we don't have it either. And I say to you, that's just not true also. We may not call ours effects bargaining, we call ours notice and opportunity. And in our contract, it states that before the fire chief can issue a safety bulletin, an information bulletin, a directive, a fire chief's general order, a new policy and procedure, or any change to a policy and procedure, they must provide our union notice and opportunity where we have a chance to comment, to negotiate it, if it's one of our rights under the collective bargaining law. We may offer up changes to the recommendation that's in the FGO, the policy procedure, or we can simply say, fine, it's all right with us, go ahead and issue it. But they cannot issue it unless they go through that process. And you think the police chief was running around saying that he was handicapped. Well, not only do we have another bite at the apple, we didn't get what we wanted in our 30 days, but we'll see at the Fire Rescue Commission, and we'll get another bite at the apple. But the commission can reject the fire chief's policy, and then he can't even implement it. And this system is a system that's created by the same county council that stripped the FOP of their effects bargaining. So you're talking about hypocrisy, and this is ridiculous. Now, I was over there at the fire and rescue, or the county council here, they're talking about this, and I saw Chief Manger up there at the table whining. And I tell you, I listened to it, and all it was whining. It's like, wow, this is the police chief? Whining, I can't do this, I can't do that, I need your help. You know, my God, if anybody should have, you think the fire chief would have been over there saying, I'm handicapped because I can't even put a policy in place because the commission can vote it down. But I can tell you the difference between the two leaders. Our fire chief came up through Montgomery County. He started as a firefighter in Rockville. He knows and he fought for our bargaining rights. He was one of us back in the 70s, back in the 80s, fighting for collective bargaining, fighting for the right to be able to bargain over wages, benefits, working conditions. So he knows, he has a true appreciation of what we went through and why we went through it. He understands it. On the other hand, you have the head of the police department who came from a right-to-work state, Virginia, who has no background in collective bargaining. No understanding of the. So that's the difference. That's why you don't see the fire chief over there whining and crying in front of the county council, but you see the police chief over there. There's no appreciation for the collective bargaining process. So I say this. I'm standing by, all our firefighters standing by our brothers and sisters of the FOP. We ask all the citizens of Montgomery County to support your police officers, your firefighters, yes, you're right on bus drivers, and all working families. We ask you, all citizens of Montgomery County, to vote against question B. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Representative of the Media, for your patience. I do want to say that we have more than a dozen other public and private sector leaders representing tens of thousands of voters in Montgomery County. And I did point out that the head of the Federal Employees Union, and we are the home of many, many federal employees who we hope and expect will repudiate this effort to overturn the law and vote against question B. I'd like to invite any one of you who haven't had a chance to speak to say a few words, or we'll go right to our friends, and they are our friends in the media, to ask us any questions that they might have. In particular, the head of the Federal Employees Union, I've asked to volunteer. Johnny, if you wouldn't mind volunteering for a very brief statement and talk to your fellow federal employees who reside here in Montgomery County.
Thank you, Lenny. Again, I'm Johnny Walker. A lot of times people confuse me with Jack Daniels, but anyway, we're happy to be here at the American Federation of Government Employees on behalf of J. David Cox, our newly elected president of the American Federation of Government Employees, and Dwight Bowman, our national president for the 14th district, which includes the metropolitan area and Europe, Italy in particular. First of all, let me just say, as a former designated law enforcement officer, I stand in solidarity with the police officers of Montgomery County. And as a president that represented those employees for 11 years, I understand the importance of having the right to have meaningful, good faith discussions with management. I do business on a daily basis here in Montgomery County at the Bethesda Naval Medical Walter Reed NIH campus. And every day, let me let you know, I am inundated with requests to review policy changes, seeking my comments and asking if we want to bargain over the impact and implementation of those policy changes. And I'm happy to have that right. And I want the FOP police officers in Montgomery County to continue to have that right. So we want to encourage you, and we always talk about choosing our battles. And this is a battle that we're going to stand with the Montgomery County police officers with, and we're going to ask the voters of Montgomery County to vote against question B on November 6th.
Would any other labor leader here like to say a few words, or else we'll go straight to the questions? Yes, please. Anybody? Oh, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Abiola Afalayan, and I'm with Unite Here Local 25. As I mentioned, we represent hotel workers here in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia area. As articulated by my colleagues who, express their grave concerns, we are unequivocally in support of the FOPs, and we do urge Montgomery County voters to vote against question B. To preserve the important public policy of equity, that's the very bedrock of this great nation. Maintaining effects bargaining is crucial to the lives and livelihood of police officers with their lives on the line every time they put on their uniforms. A vote against question B will support these officers' rights to discuss issues that affect them and their families. Again, I want to stress that on behalf of Local 25 and our 7,000 members in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, we unequivocally support the FOPs, and we urge Montgomery County voters to vote against question B. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, patient members of the media. And if you have any questions, I will look to others up here to respond. Have we worn you down? Yes, please, Kate.
Kate Alexander with the Gazette. I'd like to know what other unions who are here in this room also have effects bargaining.
And I think, without naming names, that the word effects bargaining means the right to effects bargaining or under statute, which is time limited and restrictive. Montgomery County has the right to effects bargaining for police, which is time limited and restrictive. So the question is, aside from what you've just heard, are there any other members here who believe they have the right to effects bargaining without the statute? Please stand up. Anybody who does not have. Kate, why don't we wait till after this is over for you to get an understanding that what you've heard is that everyone under the law has the right to effects bargaining. Only Montgomery County Police have a statute that restricts time limits on the process. But I would like everybody to talk to Kate, who has effects bargaining, and certainly Gino will give you a good interview, Kate, as the Montgomery County Public Employees Union. But thank you for asking that question.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
Just so we're clear, I made it clear that we have effects bargaining. It impacts 7,000 Montgomery County workers. We have it for partner planning, HOC, all our units. The distinct difference between our process and the FOPs is what Lanny said. Theirs is prescribed by law, therefore there are very clear deadlines and processes that have to be followed. Ours is not defined by law, but that doesn't mean we don't have it. In the case that I referenced earlier, it took us 2 years of litigation to prove the point to the county government, which they knew, but just resisted, that we have effects bargaining. And that's just a very cumbersome process. Not just for our members, but for the taxpayers, because they're paying the legal bill for that fight. It's totally unnecessary.
Thank you for that question. And anybody else who would like this question? Vic?
Vickers on the Washington Post. A couple of you guys have sort of referenced, I guess, this rift between the labor community and Montgomery County
let me be clear so you understand my background. I've been working with council members and executives since 1977. Okay? The only more senior labor leader in Montgomery County public sector is Walt Bader, my colleague, retired FOP president. We have never encountered such a hostile leadership group in the history of labor relations in Montgomery County. I cannot answer why they individually have decided to be hostile towards their workers. I can't answer that for them. What I do know is this. The rift between the workforce, not just the labor league, there isn't a fight that is going on between, because the room has my members in it and they can attest to this. The fight's between who runs this government and the people that serve the public. They're double standards. They're hypocrites. They reproduce facts that are misleading. And it's very difficult when you compromise your integrity in conducting labor relations, which they do consistently. It's very difficult to have meaningful labor relations that have a dramatic impact on the public we serve. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that suffer the most. Because their tax dollars are squandered on unnecessary battles with their dedicated workforce, and it disrupts morale, on and on and on. But I can't answer why they turned hostile. I can just tell you, in the many years I've been conducting labor relations, this is the most hostile leadership that we've ever encountered.
I want to address your question because during the last 6 years when I served as president of the FOP, that's where this relationship has become contentious. And I'll tell you, as a police officer who represents other police officers, all our members want to do is go to work. They want to show up in the morning, they want to get in a police car, and they want to do, not their job, they want to do their calling. Because we didn't get into this to make money, and we didn't get into this to make ourselves famous. We got into this because we believe in what we do. And all we've asked for is a process. In 2009, Montgomery County police officers voluntarily gave back wage increases. We've voluntarily given up wage increases every year since then. We've never complained about our pay. But when the council has come and the executive has come and ignored the process, we've asked for the process provided for under law, granted to us by the people of Montgomery County in 1980, a 2-to-1 vote. The year Ronald Reagan was elected to office in this country, Montgomery County voters gave police officers binding arbitration and collective bargaining on a 2-to-1 vote. And the process was set up then, and the promise, as a good senator said, was set then. All we've asked is to keep your promise and to respect the process. And we will live with what we get. But when you tilt the table, and when you subvert process for political expediency, that's when we have a problem. Because all we want to do is our job.
Thank you, Victor, for that excellent question. It goes to the heart of the mystery of why we're even here. Yes, anybody else? Any other questions? I would love to close this by thanking everyone here, including patient members of the media and open-minded members of the media, to please report the 2 final messages. An against vote is for police and their families. An against vote on question B is for police and their families. And secondly, the truth matters, whether you're a Republican, Independent, or Democrat. When county taxpayer funds, and I state this to you as a fact, is spent to misinform people, it matters. And we ask the voters of Montgomery County to support police and their families by voting against B, and to vindicate the importance that the truth matters when our elected officials are misstating the truth. Thank you all for being here.